in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public hearing. There will be time for public comments during the meeting as indicated on the agenda. Please note that citizens' comments are the only opportunity for the audience to speak or participate. This meeting has been properly posted and is subject to open meetings law of the state of Wisconsin. The minutes of this meeting will be available on our website. We start our meetings with a moment of silence, so you want to join me for a moment? Silence, please. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag Clerk and Treasurer of the Board. There it goes. So I'm going to open the nominations process for President of the School Board, and I'll ask 3 times. So do I have any nominations for President of the School Board?
I would like to nominate Erica Connor.
Okay, we have a nomination for Erica Connor. Any other nominations for President of the School Board? Any other nominations for President of the School Board? Hearing none, then we will vote on that. Board members can request a secret ballot if they so wish. Otherwise, we can do a roll call vote, and I just realized I forgot to do the roll call. So after we do the election of the president, I will do the roll call for school board. Okay, we have a nomination for Erica Connor as school board president. We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Erica Connor is the school board president. Congratulations, Erica. Real quick, I will do a roll call. Erica.
Here.
Mary Diamore.
Here.
Joel Frericks.
Here.
Andy Mackey.
Here.
Art Schneider.
Here.
Vito Schwartz.
Here.
Craig Burtz.
Here.
Jill Werner.
Here.
Cherry Winchowski.
All right, we will continue this meeting with the election of the vice president. Do I have any nominations for school board vice president?
I'll make a motion to nominate Mary Diamore.
I will second.
I have a motion and 2 seconds for Mary Diamore. Any other nominations?
Who had that second?
Jill and Art need to fight over it.
I got Jill.
Jill.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Okay, all those in favor of Mary Diamore as vice president, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We will move on to the election of school board clerk. Do I have any nominations?
I nominate Sherry Winchowski.
I have a nomination for Cherry Winchowski for school board clerk. Are there
I'll second it.
And a second. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations?
Can you repeat one more time? Who had that second? Who had the second?
had it.
Mary made it?
Either
Thank
one,
you.
doesn't matter.
Jill, did you get the last one?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
Doesn't
so
really
Mary
matter.
gets this one. We're going to play fair. Okay, so we will be voting on Chair Winchowski for school board clerk. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, last but not least, we will be accepting nominations for school board treasurer.
I nominate Joe Warner.
I have a nomination for Jill Werner. And I have a second, Cherry. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of Jill Werner for treasurer, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries. We are going to begin this meeting out with our citizens' comments for the evening. I have a handful that I will read from online as well as those in person. Based on the number of people that have signed up for citizens' comments, we will be allowing 2 minutes per person to speak. When I call your name, you can come up to either microphone in front. Mary will be the one running the timer, so she will give you a warning as you are nearing the end. If you change your mind and choose not to come when I call your name, you don't even have to walk up here. So we will start with Carolyn Simon.
Hello. So I'm here tonight. I have 3 daughters at home. I have an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And the 8-year-old and 5-year-old have been virtual this entire year. And we chose to do that because we do not want to mask our children. Those kids that have been in school have now been in school for almost 8 months, 148 days, over 1,000 hours of sitting in school with masks on. And those are the lucky kids that don't have the before school care and the after school care. What I'm asking tonight, and what I think a lot of people here are asking tonight, is to please make masking optional. Our children should not be subjected to having these masks put on their faces. The National Institute of Health has just come out and said that the masks are not effective. It says on the back of the box that they're not effective. Yet here we are forcing our children to wear masks. The Wisconsin Supreme Court 4 weeks ago struck down Ever's mandate for masking in Wisconsin. And here we are masking our children. So what I'm here tonight, and I think a lot of people are here tonight, is to ask that we remove this masking mandate and we make it optional. If people want to mask their children, let them mask their children. But for those of us that are ready to have our freedoms back and to send our children back to school and to be regular kids, regular kindergartners in school with their classmates, let them be regular kids. It is terrible having my children at home logging into their computer every single day and having virtual playdates with their friends. A lot of people are starting to look elsewhere and leave the district. I have many friends now that are going to private schooling and homeschooling. I'm fortunate that I'm home with my kids and that I can do virtual education very, very successfully. I used to be a teacher.
You'll need to wrap it up.
There's a lot of parents out there that do not have that option. So I'm here tonight to represent all of those parents in the district that are forced to send their children to school for 7 hours a day with a muzzle on their face. Please make it optional.
Thank you. I will read an emailed citizens' comments in, and as soon as I am done, next, Jim Ferwerdo, you will be ready. This is from Sharon Will. As a mother of a 5K student, I supported the school in having my child wear a mask as a 5-year-old. It was uncertain times and just not enough information to say what was right or wrong. However, we have hit a year. What an awful year to have my first child start school, so excited, but no one can tell. Masks have covered and shut down her emotional learning. She hides behind masks rather than expressing herself, and I fear it will affect future learning. The fact that kids can do recess or see each other out of school for birthday parties as a class and numbers stay as low as they do should show you masks don't make a difference for these younger students. It's becoming more of an issue than a solution. Let's make masks optional. Parents that are willing to take the risk will be at fault, not the schools. Let parents parent their kids. Schools can choose how they're learning. Hoping for a better future. Thank you, Sharon.
Good evening. As most of you know, I'm Jim Forda. I'm in my 37th year of teaching at Mukwonago High School, and my last, I might add. And I got to tell you, I am scared. I'm scared for my family. I'm scared for myself. I'm not scared because I'm going into uncharted territory with retirement. I'm scared because with 33 days left of school, I'm afraid that the school board is going to make a decision that's going to affect my health, the health of my family with immune compromised, and the health of our children. You know, I stood before you in July with my same concern about wearing masks and being concerned that we wouldn't have masks mandated. We have had masks mandated. We have had almost 100% of our school days in person this year. And I think that's because we have been masked, because we have done the mitigations to that everyone has been recommending. Well done, school board. Well done for doing that. But let's not screw it up now, okay? I'm concerned that we are in the middle of another wave of the virus. People are getting tired of wearing masks, but with almost 600,000 deaths in the US, with almost 6,700 deaths in Wisconsin, that's almost the size of Mukwonago, by the way. I'm afraid that if we back off of that mask mandate, that we're just going to be opening ourselves up to more illness within our community, more illness within the school, and in particular, remembering that there are people in this community who are immune compromised. Again, I have 2 people in my household who are immune compromised, and they don't have the advantage and the luxury of being able to say, hey, it's inconvenient. Hey, this is inconvenient for everyone. Let me tell you, it's been inconvenient teaching to kids online and kids in the classroom at the same time. But we've been able to minimize that because we've done the correct mitigations. And so I want to encourage you, please, keep the mask mandate. 33 more days, that's all it'll take. We're almost there. Now would be a bad time to give up. Little side note, I've been talking to several of my colleagues, and everyone had told me that I talked to said, hey, you know what, I haven't had a sick day yet this year. The masks work. They also prevent people from getting the common cold, apparently. And I think the district might want to look at attendance numbers for staff and how many sick days have been taken. It works, despite what anyone says.
Okay.
And the whole argument about...
You gotta wrap it up.
Thank you. The whole argument about personal liberties doesn't make sense because we walk into a store that says no shirts, no shoes, no service, and no one complains about personal liberties on that one. Please keep the mask mandate. Please keep the unvaccinated children in our buildings safe. Thank you.
Thank you. I will read another from online, and the following that will be Dee Shipley. So this is from Shelley Rogashinsky. I'm sending this email because I'm unable to attend the board meeting this evening. I wanted to voice my opinion on the masks. I feel that they need to be an optional thing at this point. The governor's order is no longer in place and was unlawful from the start. Please, please get rid of them. Our students deserve to go back to school and breathe. Thank you, Shelley.
Hi, I'm Dee Shipley. I want to thank the school board for keeping the schools open and letting our children come in. My mom and I are tag teaming tonight, so I really get 4 minutes. Don't think I'm cheating, because I have a little presentation. We have a gift here that we have an opportunity as a school board and parents to give our children. I'm going to give you some clues about it. The gift doesn't cost anything, but it's priceless. The gift doesn't weigh anything, but if it's not told, it's a very heavy burden. The gift is not electronic, but it will empower our children, give them faith and a hope and a brighter future. Does anyone know what the gift is? Vanna here, Vanna White is going to show us what the gift is.
It's truth.
TRUTH.
We have an opportunity to tell our kids the truth and remove some of the fear about the COVID virus. The truth is, according to the CDC, the New England Journal of Medicine, and other studies that I looked at, and I actually sent them to the board so that you could maybe preview them in advance. They say that masks and surgical masks do not work against the virus. In fact, the comparison that they made was asking, like, would you put up a chain link fence to keep out a mosquito? And they compared a basketball going through a hula hoop as the sides of little fibers and stuff that are in the masks. They don't keep out the viruses. The viruses are way too small. One thing that's so important, I'm blind. I lost my sight, went in for surgery, for heart surgery. I went in for heart surgery, and I came out totally blind. That was an accident. So the thing that I miss most is seeing people's faces. You know, close your eyes for a minute and look at nothing. My husband says, "Why do you have a grumpy look on your face?" I said, "Because I have nothing to smile at." When you see nothing, you know, so at least there's eyes showing. But our children need to see faces. They need to see expressions. They need to be able to laugh without wearing a mask. They need to stop inhaling the bacteria that is coming out of their mouth or throat and going back in to have a risk for health problems. Children are suffering from depression, anxiety. My kids don't want to come to school because they have to put on the mask. The CDC just came out, and the WHO just came out and said, you only need to be 1 meter now away from people. And in fall, the CDC is planning on removing all the barriers, doing the 1 meter rule, and things that are changing. Any studies that you look at that are legitimate, you'll find that masks do not work. They knew it 20 years ago for the flu, and the COVID size of the virus is similar to the flu. At this point, I was going to say, we had COVID in our house, and at that time we had like 5 months of 13 people living there because I have 11 adopted children with special needs with my husband.
We need to wrap it up.
So it was pretty crazy for a while, but our friend who's living with us, who works in a nursing home, went in, got COVID because everyone had it there. She came home, and she has a basement bedroom, but you know what? None of us got it. 12 other people, all different ages. I've had 4 transplants. I wasn't worried about it. I did not get COVID. No one did in our family. And we didn't take extreme precautions. We did take vitamin D, which they're advocating. Anyone that has had a vitamin D level over 40 has not died of COVID. They're telling everybody to use vitamin D. Your kids can use it too. You can buy it in chewable form because my son doesn't chew it. Or I'm sorry, he doesn't swallow a pill. But
Okay, you'll need to wrap it up.
Okay. So anyway, I would just like to say, let's free our kids. Let's get that big lie off their face, which is about truth. The lie is that the masks do not work, and let them have faith in God instead of a piece of fabric on their face.
Thank you, Dee Dee. I will read another online, and then after that will be Mark Summers. Good afternoon. It's my understanding that the Mukwonago School Board will be looking into removing the mask mandate for buildings within the district. As a teacher in the district, it is my hope that the board votes in favor of what the scientific health community recommend. Masks are a crucial mitigation measure for institutions to remain open. The CDC and UW Health seemed to be aligned in thinking that masks should be utilized in schools in order to keep them open. I ask that the board follow this recommendation to ensure the safety of both our students and staff in the building. Eric Brandenburg.
Thank you, Board. I want to say masks, just like these ladies over here said, they're a lie. The National Institute of Health has already said they are useless. They don't do anything. So When we say scientific evidence or scientific data, there you go. Next. Our schools are a public accommodation, a place of a public accommodation. U.S. Code Title 42, Chapter 126, Subchapter 3. Specifically, letter J. A nursery, elementary, secondary, undergraduate, or postgraduate private school or other place of education. Civil Rights Act of 1964, specifically, Title II, unlawful to discriminate in a place of public accommodation. All Mukwonago schools are legally defined as places of a public accommodation, and as such, you may not prohibit entry by discriminating against someone for their medical condition, disability, or religious views. If someone is unable or unwilling to wear a mask for one of those reasons, you may not prohibit their entry, nor may you file a charge of trespassing because of their legally protected status, just as you would not be able to deny entry to someone based on their skin color. Second, our First Amendment, right to assemble, right to freedom of speech, right to religious expression. Fourth Amendment, right to privacy. Forcing a person to wear a mask without their consent is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Further, gathering vital statistics such as taking one's temperature is a violation of a person's right to privacy. Violation of this protection will result in your actions being reported to the U.S. Department of Justice. This comes right online. And one thing that's been brought around is a liability insurance policy does not supersede our children's God-given rights protected by our Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you. I will read another email, and then following that will be Maddox Peoples. To whom it may concern, I'd like to voice my opposition to the continued requirement of children to wear masks in Mukwonago schools. Not only is there evidence to suggest that this policy is not beneficial at this point in time, but that it may be creating more harm than good for our children. I believe that the following points should also be given strong consideration on this issue. 1, I question whether or not this policy is appropriate given the lack of state or county requirement. 2, I believe that the majority of this community is opposed, or at best indifferent, to this requirement. 3, I believe that many of those who strongly support the mask requirement already have their children learning virtually, and/or accommodation could be made if they would elect to do so. They also have the option of continuing to wear masks in school as a personal choice. I believe, or in light of these facts, I believe that the only reasonable choice to proceed in terms of mask policy in Mukwonago schools is to conform to the standards set by state law and remove this requirement immediately. Thank you for your consideration. Brandon Ergman.
All right, good evening. My name is Maddox Peoples, and I'm a junior here at Mukwonago High School. And I'm speaking today in response to a petition to make masks optional started by Gio Anello. This petition got over 500 signatures in under 24 hours, and while this might seem like a lot, it's only a third of the student body population. The petition being online also poses the question of the validity of whether these are actual MHS students signing it, with only an email being needed to sign the petition. In the description of the petition, Gio writes that he's seen 1,442 students not complying with the mask order, whether that's in passing period or in class. The argument that because students don't correctly follow the rules, so we must alter the rules to fit the students, is a concept that opens the door to a number of unwanted possibilities. If we change the rules every time a student didn't correctly follow them, it would create a fundamental flaw in the education system. Looking deeper at the petition, it's the comment section that concerns me the most. With comments such as, masks are gay and masks suck balls, I begin to question if these are the students we want making decisions at our high school. Thank you.
Thank you. I will read another online, and following that will be David Hoffman. To whom it may concern, my name is Gio Anello, and I'm a junior here at Mukwonago High. As you know, the state mask mandate was struck down, and the county has stated that it will not create a new one. That being said, I will get straight to my point. The district mask mandate is very unpopular amongst the student body. It's not that we are against anyone wearing them. We simply believe that it is our right to decide whether we wear one or not. Over the last week, I have counted during a majority of my passing periods just how many students were either not wearing their masks correctly or not at all, which would constitute the assumption that they would rather not wear one. In just 4 days in our short passing periods, I observed 1,442 students not complying with the order. If you don't believe that this is sufficient evidence that we, as almost adults being prepared for the real world, would like to choose for ourselves, I would be glad to prepare a petition signed by hundreds of my fellow students to be presented at the next board meeting. That being said, we would react the same way if you mandated not to wear a mask. That choice should be made by the individual and the conditions surrounding their lives. We only ask that you do not force an idea upon any student, especially one that is so heavily debated in our society. Thank you for your time, Gio Anello and the next generation.
Don't have a lot to say, but just want to say that, the argument before was to keep teachers and staff safe. They are now vaccinated, so if they believe in this vaccine, then they are safe. My kids don't want to go to school. That's a problem. They come home, they've got masks, they've got gaiters, they're sweaty, they've been running around at recess. There's more in that mask, more bad in that mask than good in that mask. Let us decide. I don't think it's your decision. I agree with that letter. We're not dumb individuals. Most of us are pretty rational, smart people, and just give us the option. I think it's up to us. I don't think it's up to you guys to force it. Thanks.
Thank you. Following this email will be Armando Brazzoni. This is signed Karina. Masks are terrible. They make all students feel insecure, and it makes it harder to concentrate. I have barely seen any of my friends' real faces, and overall it makes school so much more difficult. Masks make me feel unmotivated and annoyed. And then Armando.
Howdy, my name is Armando Brazzoni. Getting back to the masks, we're adults. I need to raise my kids. I don't need other people to tell me how to raise my kids. If I want them to wear a mask, they should. And as statistics, Waukesha County is at, as of today, 47.4% of the people of Waukesha County have at least one of the doses. 35% or 34.9 have 2 doses in Waukesha County. The state is at 42.1, so we are ahead of that number. Teachers have been able to get the vaccine for a long time now. While counties, Waukesha, Ozaki, and Washington are now on a walk-in basis. You can just walk in and get your shot. If you believe in it, then go get your shot. If you're got your shot and you want to wear a mask, but don't force me, my kids, to wear a mask. My son comes home and has a headache every day. And yes, he drinks water, but for 2 hours he has to sit on the couch and just vegetate before his head goes away. Let me worry about my kids. And then when we come to a function, someone walks by 3 people not wearing a mask and then picks one person out. This is getting ridiculous. If you are afraid to do your jobs, don't do your job. And you can stamp your feet and go, get a new job. This is horrible for our kids to be wearing masks. It is not safe, and it is not right. Get your shot if you want to. Teachers have them, do it. If they don't want to teach, don't teach. Kids want to wear masks, let them wear masks. But to say that you're saving the world by having kids wear masks when they're going to sleepovers every single weekend is ridiculous. Someone I can go and sit at a restaurant, and then you come and you have to sit 6 feet away from them because that's the building rules? Obnoxious. Let's get back to the way it has to be. Let me raise my kids. I don't need anybody to tell me that they need to wear a mask. Sit in the sun and get your vitamin D, just like a couple of the other people said. But get this mask mandate done in the schools. We do not need it.
Okay, I'm going to read a letter that is very long, so I may not make it all the way through, but following that will be Cheryl Korb. Dear Mukwonago School Board members, my name is Paul Anich, thank you, and I have been a registered pharmacist at Moreland Plaza Pharmacy for 30 years. I am writing today to urge you to vote to discontinue the mask mandate at Mukwonago High School. Mask wearing is a very hot issue, and I fully appreciate the difficult position that each of you are in as you weigh facts versus opinion in making this decision. I also have to make decisions based on the best facts I have available, including my own experience as a professional. My experience is a bit different than others, as I have been both serving the medical needs of the public throughout the pandemic and have also been on the front line of vaccine distribution since the end of January. I ask that you add my experiences to your list of information as you make your decision. To begin, mask wearing was implemented to reduce the spread of COVID-19 until a vaccine could be developed and distributed. Masks played a huge role in the reopening plan of many schools, including Mukwonago. As a step beyond mask wearing, I believe that vaccines are the key to successful reopening the world. My belief is in alignment with the vast majority of the medical community and the CDC. The purpose of the vaccine is to mitigate the harm the disease may cause, reduce and/or eliminate death caused by COVID-19, and to reduce the spread of the disease. This purpose falls in line with my data demonstrating that vaccinated people and those that are immune through natural immunity are still testing positive for the disease. It is likely that we will never again live in a world without COVID, but we can eliminate deaths and hospitalizations caused by the disease through vaccination and herd immunity. My pharmacy took an active effort to immunize the population early on. To date, my pharmacy has administered over 2,000 doses of vaccines to members of the public, including both staff members and students of Mukwonago and other school districts. Our experience in vaccinating the population has changed greatly since we began vaccinating until today. At the onset of the vaccine availability, we were vaccinating nearly 400 people per week and had a waiting list beyond that. In contrast, last week we advertised 84 available doses and were only able to fill 48 spots. In order to fill 2 unused doses on Saturday, I asked nearly 20 people, and current customers and strangers alike. I had responses ranging from "I don't want one" to "I already have one," and everything in between. In short, every eligible Wisconsinite has had access to a vaccine from multiple sites at multiple times if they chose to receive one, and this access has been available for many days and weeks. With that in mind, wearing a mask no longer reduces any risk for any other vaccinated individuals, as the risk cannot be lower than 0. The mask mandate at Mukwonago High School is an important part of the strategy to safely reopen schools, and I commend you for working hard to keep kids in schools every day. However, as the science of vaccines has evolved over time and their availability has become widespread, we have now reached a point where the mask mandate can be retired and students and staff can be free to make a choice rather than follow a rule. Cheryl Korb.
Hi, my girls are currently not enrolled in the district for school. They're at home where they don't have to wear masks. And just seeing them thrive throughout the school year has been just amazing. But my kids should be allowed to be in school where they don't have to have their face covered. And I just want to talk about, reiterate the study that was done by the Stanford study under National Institute of Health, where they say that the data suggests that both medical and non-medical face masks are ineffective to block human-to-human transmission of viral and infectious disease such as SARS-CoV-2 and COVID-19, supporting against the usage of face masks. Joe Biden also at the, there was a Milwaukee town hall. He responded to a child who was nervous about COVID and the vaccine, and he told her, kids don't get COVID very often. It's unusual for that to happen. The evidence so far is children aren't the people most likely to get COVID, so you're the safest group of people in the whole world. You're not likely to be able to be exposed to something and spread it to mommy or daddy, and it's not likely mommy or daddy are able to spread it to you either, so I wouldn't worry about it, I promise. It's ridiculous that if that's the take on how things are, why are these children wearing masks all day? They can't go play with their friends out at recess. Between bites of food, they have to put their mask over their face. I've talked to people in the district whose children have been in detention because their mask wasn't high enough on their face. I'm not going to send my child to school where they have to sit in detention and have to be asked, why are you not wearing your mask properly? That's just not appropriate. For like a 6-year-old, that's ridiculous. There's a world-renowned neurologist from Germany, Dr. Marguerite Brisson, and she says If you have chronic oxygen deprivation, all of those symptoms disappear because you get used to it from wearing a mask. So even though a child might say, I don't mind wearing a mask, it's great, I'm fine with it, they're still getting oxygen deprivation over time. Your efficiency will remain impaired and the undersupply of oxygen in your brain continues to progress. While you're thinking that you have gotten used to wearing your mask and rebreathing your own exhaled air, the degenerative processes in your brain are getting amplified as your oxygen deprivation continues. The second problem is that the nerve cells in your brain are unable to divide themselves normally, so in case our governments will generously allow us to get rid of the mask and go back to breathing oxygen freely, the lost nerve cells will no longer be regenerated. What is gone is gone. There is just no unfounded medical exemption from face masks because oxygen deprivation is dangerous for every single brain.
All right, you'll need to wrap it up.
So for children and adolescents, masks are an absolute no-no. They should not be on their faces. You guys have been elected to support and to make decisions for our children, and we need to stand up for our children. They're not able to stand up for themselves. We are responsible for making the health decisions for our children, and we need you guys to make these difficult decisions for us and let us as parents make the health decisions for our children if they should be wearing masks or not. Make it optional. There's vaccines. People who are concerned can get the vaccine, but let children be children. Thank you.
I have one more that I will read, and then following that will be Rhonda Hinkle. My name is Kelly Peoples, and I'm a parent of children at Rolling Hills, Parkview, and MHS. I have seen the challenges that this pandemic has created across all settings. First of all, I want to thank the board for doing everything it has to keep our schools open with face-to-face learning since September. In-person learning is truly where students are most successful. Every month, we receive an email from the school district stating that, quote, mask wearing has been a critical part to our safety and mitigation plan, which has allowed MASD to continue to offer in-person instruction, end quote. So I ask, if this is such a critical part, why with less than 35 days of school year is this safety plan being reconsidered? The CDC still recommends wearing masks and social distancing to help prevent the spread of COVID. Why would the board consider going against the recommendations that have proven effective in keeping schools open the past 130 plus days? The topic of masks, unfortunately, became more about politics than about health and safety. By making masks required, students have been able to keep their personal beliefs to themselves unless they chose to share them. If the board makes masks optional, this will create an environment in which students are forced to be vocal about their mask beliefs. Either they will wear them to keep themselves and others safe and face possible ridicule, or they will have to go against their beliefs in order to save face. This is just another added stress to put on our students in an already uncertain time. I ask the board, if masks are optional, how will you keep students safe? I have seen students post that use racist or homophobic slurs about the general population who believe in mask wearing. How will the board protect students who choose to wear a mask from being ostracized or publicly shamed? These general comments will now be directed at specific students. In September, the board chose to keep the schools open with face-to-face learning because they knew it was what was best for the students' success. If masks are made optional, is the board prepared for the number of positive cases to increase, the number of quarantined staff and students to increase, and how will this affect final exams, graduation, and AP exams? Better yet, how will this impact the school report card? Thank you for doing what is best for all students. Kelly Peoples. Rhonda.
Hello. I just want to reiterate what most of the parents have said here, that I do believe that they should be optional. I have a 7th grade daughter who struggles being an introvert, and she has a very quiet voice. And this is affecting her communication at school because the teachers cannot hear her. And if I could just point out Sean McNulty at the beginning of the meeting, you didn't have a microphone. People couldn't hear you. You lowered your mask so that we could hear you. So my daughter is in a classroom where she's not allowed to lower her mask. The teachers can't hear her, therefore she's becoming more introverted in herself because she can't communicate with her teachers. And I understood at the beginning of the school year there was a lot of unknown. So, okay, put the kids in masks until we can figure this out. But with the vaccine and all the studies being done, I believe that they should be optional for the children.
Bill Lawler. Is Bill still here?
Yeah, my name is William Lawler. Right over there wears an American flag that stands for freedom. Okay? Vito, I tried to get a hold of you so I could talk to you about this meeting, and I never got a response back. But truth has become the new hate speech, and that's got to stop. And why is Mukwonago, okay, following along like a lost sheep when this could be a shining star in this school district, in the state, with truth? I guarantee you, if every one of you were honest with us, okay, you would agree with what's all been said here today. Whatever happened when you were a kid and your mom and your dad said, "Don't lie, tell the truth," right? The courts, when you went up to be a witness or whatever, you put your hand on a Bible. Maybe that's the problem. We got rid of those things. You put your hand on a Bible and you stated that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. What happened to that? I see some people that I've seen in churches up there that believe in God. Why do we have to throw him out? Why can't we? I mean, we're allowing the 5 pillars to be taught. We're allowing Buddhism and all these other religions to be taught. Why can't we still teach Christianity and let the students decipher what's true and what's right for them? Teachers and school boards are to teach the kids how to learn, not what to learn. That's the community. This is not a governmental school. It's a public school. There are Christians here. There are atheists here. There are Lutherans here. There are Catholics here. There's a lot of different denominations here, okay? But we've thrown out the good. So what we got now is the evil. And I said before, I'm a school bus driver, and I take this serious. I'm bringing these kids to hell.
You'll need to wrap it up.
Because I'm the ones who's bringing them here. If I don't do anything about it, if I don't stand up for them, okay, I'm guilty, and I'll pay for it someday. So all I'm saying is that truth, guys, just the truth, and patriotism. I am very proud of this school. My daughter went through this school. You go up into the gym and it's Indian pride. Well, I'll tell you what, Indians didn't wear masks. And they had a lot of pride. And there's nothing wrong with pride in the right sense. Thank you.
Micah Roberts.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you all. In the farewell address of our first president, George Washington, he made a statement, "Interwoven as is the love of liberty with every ligament of your hearts." I love America. It is the freest, most prosperous, most unique, most freedom-loving, and most caring, and I believe most loving nation in the world. Do I love America's moral decline? No. Am I saddened by the continual erosion of the values that have made America a great and prosperous nation? Yes, I am. Am I grieved that America continues to move further and further away from the God of the Bible and the morals of God's Word? Yes, definitely. The flame of freedom is flickering more and more by the winds of opposition. And we've seen that more this last year than ever before. Think about the words of the Star-Spangled Banner as Francis Scott Key set out on the bay there near Baltimore. He said, "Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light?" You know, it was a question that he posed. Is the flag still flying? He couldn't see it all night long after the rockets and bombs stopped blowing up. But by the dawn's early light, he could see the star. He could see the flag still waving. The chorus there is a question. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave or the land of the free and the home of the brave? That's a question that we all need to ask. Sadly, that answer is becoming no. You know what? I don't need to reiterate everything that has been said in this meeting, but it's interesting that freedom is being squelched more and more.
You'll need to wrap it up.
You as a school board has the opportunity to defend freedom, defend liberty, and to promote the values that we love as Americans. These are under attack today. You are the line of defense. Please, school board, whether it's on the agenda tonight or not, we need to call a special board meeting to put this on the agenda to make the masks optional. Defend America, defend liberty, defend freedom. Thank you.
So, Gio Anello, I do have you written here. I did already read an email from you. Sorry, I didn't see that you were listed twice. If you would still like to speak, I will give you a minute. Okay.
Members of the school board, my name is Gio Anello, and I am a junior here at Mukwonago High School. Before I begin, I would like to say that I myself and my father are both immunocompromised. We both are more susceptible to COVID. If we were to get it, we would become more sick than the average person. That being said, I have collected here 760 signatures from students, family members, and community members begging you to please make the mask mandate optional here at Mukwonago High School. In response to the ideas that students would be bullied for wearing a mask, I myself have already been ridiculed and made fun of by my peers for making this petition. They've made fun of me for the past few weeks since I've had this. I am not afraid to stand up for my beliefs and my rights. As for the teachers, I've talked to more teachers than I can name right now. I can't name any of them because
You'll need to make it brief.
They would rather remain anonymous, but they support this too. It's not just the students, it's not just the community members. So I ask you to please strike down the mask mandate in Mukwonago Area School District to make it optional. Thank you.
So I want to thank all the citizens that either emailed in or came and spoke. We do appreciate feedback. We don't always get so many attenders, and we're grateful. We love to hear from each of you. So I do want to make sure that you are all aware, it was mentioned by Micah, that if you did take a look at the agenda, the mask mandate for the rest of the school year is actually not an action item in today's board meeting. We will be discussing masks for summer school as well as quarantine procedures moving on throughout the rest of the year. So I wanted to make sure that you are aware of that. And we are going to continue on with the meeting in order according to your agenda if you'd like to stick around. We are going to move right into our student rep reports.
At the Mukwonago High School, the Global Certificate Program welcomed guest speaker Francois Musonera, who shared about his experiences surviving the Rwandan genocide in 1994. He spoke about his escape and how he was put on the waiting list to be relocated in the United States, as well as the new book he wrote, Surviving the Genocide, which is now offered in the Mukwonago High School Library. We're so glad that despite COVID, he was still able to speak in person to the students. And thank you to Mr. Montani for organizing this event. The Mukwonago Drama Club performed their spring play this month, Camp Paradise. There was a lot of hard work put into the production, and over 70 students participated in the event. As a special treat, students got to speak with the playwright of Camp Paradise, which is very rare. In addition, they hosted several events, including nights of monologues, acts, and short skits in order to raise funds for their program. So amazing work to MHS Drama. At Parkview Middle School, Miss Arns and her students' flight and space classes, as well as students from Eagleville and Mukwonago's astronomy classes, will be flying their science experiments with zero gravity. That includes paper airplanes, the physics of yo-yos, and properties of helium, all in their experiments. They will be photographed and recorded, and hopefully we will see pictures in the next board meeting. 7th through 12th grade percussion students participated in a Drumming for a Difference concert and raised $750 for the Mukwonago Food Pantry, so well done. Parkview displayed new student artwork in the front lobby this month. And nearly 200 students are involved in sports this spring, most of them in track and field. So good luck to Parkview athletes. At Big Bend Elementary School, art teacher Miss Cradaville, thank you, just won Art Sonia's Art Education Leadership Award. So Big Bend would like to thank her for all of her hard work. Big Bend Elementary School finished 4th in the state in their National Wisconsin Mathematics League. They had a 6th grader, Aaron Johnson, who finished 8th overall out of 930 mathematicians, as well as 5th grader Mary Zangler, who competed and finished 11th place. So very well done to both of those girls. In addition, 4th graders at Big Bend made projects honoring the long history of farming and other important industries in Wisconsin. So using Wisconsin related materials, they made mobiles, and the students said they had a lot of fun decorating this project. At Clarendon Elementary School, they will be having an art show on May 12th outdoors, so please see more details on the Clarendon website or in the flyer down below if you're interested. Congratulations to the Kiwanee Student of the Year semifinalists, Wynn, Peyton, Isabel, Brooklyn, Demetria, and Emily. And finally, 2nd grade virtual students in Miss Bradford and Miss Sanderfoot's class learned about swim safety with a virtual presentation from the Mukwonago YMCA. Usually this was a field trip, but they had to do it virtual this year. However, the students still got the information that they needed.
At Eagleville Elementary, they learned about seeds, and they even made their homemade terrariums, and they would transplant them into gardens later in May. They also celebrated Earth Day by cleaning up around different areas of the school. Lastly, they also 4th through 6th graders used VEX robotic kits to design toys and even make their own commercials. At Prairie View Elementary School, students have enjoyed the PLTW engineering units, while kindergartners have been learning about solids, liquids, sinking, and floating. 1st graders have been learning about how different materials are used in engineering, and 2nd graders have been learning all about light and sound. Along with this, 4th graders at Prairie View brought in hundreds of items for the Mukwonago Food Pantry. At Rolling Hills Elementary School, 4th grader students experienced Immigration Day this month. We'd like to thank Ms. Weber, Ms. Crary, Ms. Arnold for organizing this event, and a special thank you to Gina Neist and Mr. McNulty and Ms. Blue for volunteering and helping out as well. Rolling Hills would also like to extend their congratulations to their 4th grade student, Alexa P., for earning the Nicholas Maxim Special Award for excellent penmanship through the Zainab Lozer 11th annual contest. At Section Elementary School, 4th through 6th graders were offered the opportunity to join an after-school fitness club. This club focuses on a variety of ways to incorporate fun into fitness. They learn things like correct running form, how to do relay handoffs, long jump, triple jump, shot put, discus, along with learning how to use light weights or no weights to perform exercises. Also on Tuesday, April 20th, the section PBIS team attended a Tier 2 PBIS training through CESA 1. Along with this, Paige Faulkner, a Section Elementary School 6th grade teacher, was awarded 2nd place in Wisconsin School Music Association Composition Project for piano. Congratulations, Paige.
Thank you, ladies. We will move on to consent agenda. I am looking for the approval of board minutes from March 22nd, 2021, and the approval of vouchers numbers 132368 to 132662 in the amount of $3 million and change, and receipts for March 2021 totaling $10 million and change. Do I have any questions or concerns? Hearing none, it is approved by consent. We will now move into our committee updates, and we will start with Personnel Committee.
Susan brought some ideas in regards to teacher compensation to the last Personnel Committee. We discussed quite a bit around that, around ESSER funding and options for use of that money. She plans to bring additional options and data back to the next Personnel Committee in regards to that. And years of service was brought up. Sean, or you or Susan want to take that one?
So Susan is not able to attend tonight, but we are going to honor later this spring those staff members that have been with us for 20, 25, 30, and even 35 years of service.
Perfect. Thank you, Sean. Erica, that's it.
Okay, and then we'll move on to Student Learning Committee update.
Spain went over the FEL curriculum review, and we will be getting more information on that. As they have been studying it, they've been seeing some holes, and we'll be working on those. We also went through the 4K, which up to this point we did not have a curriculum in the FEL programming, and that we will ask for approval later today. We went through the social studies curriculums, and they have done extensive work on the social studies curriculums, and we went through the fact that the 10-year cycle plan may need to be altered, but we are bringing that to the board as well for approval tonight. The overnight field trips to Spain and Scandinavia have been canceled for the year. And we are still looking into what our virtual programming for next year will be. And we have to look into that. Stephanie?
Yeah, I just wanted to make one correction. We are not voting on the 4K SEL curriculum tonight. They're beginning a pilot, and so we informed the Student Learning Committee about that pilot. Nope.
Okay, and then we move on to finance and facility update.
All right, we had a long meeting, but we've got 2 items up here. The actively funded benefit. Tom?
We discussed with the committee changing the way that we fund and think about our teacher post-employment benefits. So we just discussed the merit of that, and I'll be bringing back more information throughout the summertime. We didn't take any action on that. We just discussed the idea.
Right, and then we also went over the special education transportation review. We just reviewed on what transportation we use, why we use it, what circumstances, and what the cost is. The rest of our items are on action items. So they'll be coming up.
Okay, so we're going to move on to action items. I'm going to ask that as a board, when you speak, you have to get like up into the microphone. Are you guys able to hear everyone out there? Okay. So we as a board have a hard time hearing you if you're not all the way in the microphone. So we are going to go into action items, appointments, resignations, and retirements.
So our retirements and resignations, Kathy Buckman, 30 years in speech and language pathologist, is retiring from Prairie View Elementary. Heidi Hunick, who had been a longtime reading specialist at Rowan Hills, retired but came back to work for us as an interventionist. We needed help. She is retiring. Amy Hujet, Parkview Middle School language arts teacher, is resigning, and Tim Kujawa, MHS guidance counselor, is resigning. We have 3 appointments. Colin Valley, cross-categorical special education teacher at Mukwonago High School. Jake Krieger, computer science and math teacher at Mukwonago High School. And Tessa Patnaud, family and consumer science teacher at MHS also.
So I will need a motion and a second that we approve these.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I have Art for a motion, Andy for a second. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Designate official newspaper and bank depositories.
Yeah, so as this is our reorganization meeting, every April we do designate these 2. So we are looking for board approval that the Waukesha Freeman would be our official newspaper and that Citizens Bank is the official bank. Tom, anything to add to
Yeah,
that?
we're looking to designate Citizens Bank and the local government investment pool, both of those as our official depositories.
I would like to make a motion. We go ahead with the recommendation.
I think Art motioned. Joel, are you seconding? Okay. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I'm sorry, who had the second on that?
Joel.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, school board delegate to CISA 1 Board of Contract and the WASB Convention delegate.
So that should say Board of Control. I apologize for that mistake, but
Oh,
this
thank
is
you.
one of your favorite times of the year. So first and foremost, we need a school board member to serve as the CISA 1 delegate to their annual meeting, which will be on Tuesday, May 18 at 5:30.
I'd like to nominate Vito Schwartz for that honor.
And I will second that. Sorry, Vito, the new person always gets sent.
So
And I
Vito,
will
welcome
second.
aboard. This is how your friends will treat you on this board in the future.
This is how we welcome everyone.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
You get a free meal.
Tuesday, May 18th. I'll share some more information with you, Vito. And then we also identify our board rep to the WASB delegate assembly tonight. And so I don't know if we have any volunteers for that. That will be on Wednesday, January 19, and that's in 2022.
Oh, that's what I did last year, right? Yep. Yeah, I'm good with it.
I'll nominate Jill.
Okay, we have I have a motion, Andy, second by Mary for Jill Werner. Any other questions, concerns, nominations? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. And then Jill will be our delegate. Moving on to the CISA 1 contract for 21-22.
At the April meeting, we always approve our CISA 1 contract. This year, the total is $42,603. Approximately $21,400 is for a part-time shared instructor for our visually impaired students. And then we also pay $10,000 for Project Search, which is a school-to-work program for students in our 18 to 21 program. That's a partnership, a job partnership with Goodwill Industries and the Milwaukee County Zoo. So that's the vast majority of that $42,000. Does anyone have a question on that contract?
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion, Andy, and I will second that. Erica, any other questions or concerns? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have the board meeting schedule for 2021-22.
Right, so in your agenda, we have the board meeting and committee meeting schedule. The main thing that we have to approve tonight is the plan for the board meeting schedule for the year. Usually we designate the fourth Monday of the month, and we try to keep to that schedule. There are a couple of exceptions, August 16th is the third Monday of the month, and we do that a little earlier because we have some late hires in the summer that we want to get approved so they can attend in-service and the start of the school year. And then I believe December 20 would be the other exception. Due to Christmas break, we usually go with the third Monday of the month. But otherwise, our board meetings are the fourth Monday of the month.
Motion.
I have a motion made by Andy,
I'll second.
second by Mary. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carries. Families First Coronavirus Response Act extension.
Yep, so the FFCRA, in the spring of 2020, the federal government implemented the FFCRA that required employers to provide paid leave for COVID-19 related reasons. So this has been extended a couple of times. If one of our employees does contract COVID while working here, we make sure that they still get paid. So we're looking for extension of that. It did expire on March 31st, and the Personnel Committee did approve that extension.
Motion.
I have a motion by Andy.
I second.
A second from Cherry. Any other questions or discussions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 7, Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Act funding proposal.
So this is something that we will continue to discuss over the next several months. This is our ESSER 1, 2, and 3 funding. So as you are aware from the memo, ESSER 1 funding was about $100,000. ESSER 2 was $394,000. Both that amount of money, those amounts of money were used for mitigation measures. There will be more ESSER 2 funding coming. That will not be determined until the end of the school year later this summer when we all figure out how much face-to-face education that we have provided throughout the school year. That's what the Joint Finance Committee decided to base that funding on. And so it is possible that we will receive an additional $800,000 to $1.1 million. What we're focusing tonight on is the $886,000, which we are receiving from ESSER 3, and we are focusing on catching up students who have possibly fallen behind due to COVID, and also students that are experiencing mental health issues, special education help. And so we are looking for approval with this ESSER 3 funding for interventionists, K through 2 for reading, 4 through 6 for math at our elementary schools, and then a school psychologist.
I make a motion.
I have a motion made by Cherry,
Second.
a second by Joel. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We have Neola policy updates.
We have several policy updates recommended by Neola. Oftentimes, these are based on changes in state or federal law. As you know, previously, I would bring those policies straight to the board. I think it's a better idea to bring them to committees, so committees can look at those changes, have discussion, and then bring them to the full board. So we have several policies, minor changes, minor updates that we are recommending be approved. They have been approved and recommended for full board approval by all 3 of our standing committees.
Motion.
I have a motion by Andy,
Second.
a second from Jill. Any questions or discussion?
Do we have to waive the second reading?
Yes.
So, yes,
Yes.
thank you, Mary.
So Andy and Jill, we need to waive the second reading.
Motion.
Yes.
So Andy and Jill make the motion to waive the second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so now we will need a motion to approve. Andy motions. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jill, are you keeping that second?
I'm okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's right.
Not
So,
not easy to hear down here.
yeah, we have Andy with the motion, Jill with the second. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, number 9, 2021 MHS graduation site.
Okay, so Jim Darren, high school principal, is here tonight, and he has an update for us on the high school graduation site. He has met with the American Family Field and Milwaukee Brewer officials, and there have been significant changes to our past procedures. So he's going to talk a little bit about that, answer your questions that you might have, but we do need to make a decision on if we want to go to American Family Field or bring it back to Mukwonago High School.
Well, good evening, everybody. So all along, when we met with American Family Field in earlier in the school year, they always said that any plans for graduation would need to be approved by the Milwaukee County Health Department, very much like the Milwaukee County Health Department gave the go-ahead for the Brewers to host games. And so it took them a while to approve the graduation ceremonies at American Family Field, and this is what the health department is going to allow. First of all, masks would be required for all attendees. There would not be any medical exemptions. The graduates themselves would have to wear masks. However, when they walked across stage and got their photo taken, when they got the diploma from you, as well as they walked to the end of the stage and got their photo taken as well, they could have their masks off, but they would have to put them back on. A couple of the bigger items is that the students would not sit together at Miller Park. Instead, they would be spread out in pods sitting with their family members, and then family members could purchase additional pods of 4 seats. However, there is no guarantee that families would be sitting right next to each other. In fact, if you've been to a Brewer game yet this year, you know that you really don't have pods of more than maybe 5 or 6 people. So if a family bought 12 tickets, they're likely to be spread out significantly apart from each other. The other very big item and very big change is that they are insisting that graduates receive their diploma at the beginning of the ceremony before anything else takes place, other than perhaps the national anthem. And so when they would arrive at Miller Park, they'd go down the right field concourse and start getting lined up. And right after we do the national anthem, they would come down the right field line and then get their diploma, get their name read, and get their diploma right away, not at the end of the ceremony. And then the graduates would go find their family pod and sit with their family. In that scenario, I feel bad for graduates with a X, Y, or Z last name because they're probably standing in line waiting to get their diploma for more than 45 minutes. No live music would be permitted, so typically in the past couple of years we've had the MHS choir sing the national anthem. We've had our orchestra playing Pomp and Circumstance as the graduates come in down the right field line. Live music would not be permitted, only recorded music. So we got this news from the Brewers on Wednesday of last week, and last Friday I met with the class officers, and as expected, they are not very happy with these changes. One of them remarked that with all the things that the class of 2021 has been through, that they thought they could be united in sitting together at graduation, and this prevents them from doing that. They also did not like the idea of receiving their diplomas first in the ceremony. Many of the officers wondering, well, why would anybody want to stick around for the rest of the ceremony after they receive their diploma? And overall, I think the class officers felt all those elements, and for everyone that's been at Miller Park, those special elements that and I knew I would say it, Miller Park instead of American Family Field. All those elements that make that a special place to graduate simply are not here in this plan. And it's not a criticism. I understand that they are trying to be safe, especially in Milwaukee County, where they have been very, very diligent in trying to limit large crowds. But our officers simply said, we don't want to graduate under these circumstances. And so it's my recommendation that we bring the graduation ceremony back to MHS on the same day, June 20th.
Jim, what did the students say about coming back to MHS?
They were, I mean, they're disappointed that American Family Field is not going to work out. A few of them were at the ceremony or witnessed the ceremony in some capacity last year, and I guaranteed them that we would make it special for them if it was brought back.
And I guarantee you you're right. And I absolutely, the state of Milwaukee is just completely, put the kibosh on that. I highly suggest we bring it back to MHS so we can give our students the graduation that they deserve after everything that they've been through at this class.
Is that your motion?
It is my motion.
So that's an official motion.
It
I
is.
will make that second. I had the opportunity to be at the graduation on the football field last year, and it really was great. I would question, do we know for sure? We don't know yet for sure how many tickets we would be able to give each graduate.
We don't know yet. I'll work with Sean and work with Andy Trudell on getting the exact amounts of tickets. I believe with portable bleachers and everything, we could fit in normal circumstances 2,500 or 3,000, and so I'll work with them and see what kind of limit that we are comfortable working with.
Yeah.
I do know the same company that live streamed our event last year has already reached out asking if they need our help again this year, and so I think we will have live stream capabilities.
Yeah, and let's make sure that we extend everything that we need to do to give this graduating class an amazing graduation.
I would like to see the final plans.
Yeah, definitely.
We can have music, right?
We can have
Yes,
music.
absolutely.
We can have music.
Yeah.
We can have our choir. We can have everything.
And I did, in my meeting with the class officers, just say I'm going to give an update to the board and see what direction that we want to go, and then we will start planning for the scenario that you choose later on this week.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
all your
Jim.
hard work.
Any other questions or comments on this topic? Ladies, are you seniors over there? What are your thoughts?
I mean, personally, I've never had a huge opinion. I know a lot of kids have strong feelings as to whether it should be at Miller Park or American Family Field or at the turf. And I mean, there's reasons to go both ways, but I think, as Mr. Darren said and as the students said, being able to sit together and kind of be together for our final moments, I mean, that's more important probably than the location. So that's my opinion on it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Emily. I would like to do it at the high school. For me, it was like the family issue. I noticed on here it said like families weren't guaranteed to sit together. And so if we could have families, if it was more likely for families to sit together at the football field here, I would personally prefer that.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? So the motion was for graduation to be at the football field instead of American Family. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Keep us posted. Number 11, mitigation measures 2021 summer school.
Erica, did you mean to skip 10? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, say again.
Number 10?
Number 10,
So
quarantine procedures. Thank you, 2020, 21. That's number 10?
that's correct. And so I do not have a report for that action item. As you recall, that was a discussion that came out of the Finance and Facilities Committee meeting. So if,
Yeah.
do you
so-
want me to comment on that? Or
No.
I didn't know if you wanted to take it from here.
I'll take it.
Okay.
So CDC guidelines, the recommendation has changed social distancing from 6 feet down to 3 feet. They, however, did not change the quarantine procedures down to 3 feet. They said it's safe for students to be within 3 feet, but we're still going to quarantine to 6 feet. So there was discussion and a motion made and sent to the full board at Finance about discussing whether or not we would like to take the initiative to change our quarantine procedures down to that 3-foot safety recommendation that CDC has put out there. CDC does not recommend a 3-foot quarantine, but as a board, we do have that ability, if we so choose, to change down to a 3-foot quarantine social distancing spacing.
And that is the action item.
So that is,
An action item.
that is it is an action
I
item.
make a motion to move it from 6 to 3.
And I will second it.
I have Andy making a motion, Jill seconding. Any questions or concerns about that? I think we definitely wanted to make sure we could do what we could to help protect finals, AP exams. We need our students in the building, and we hope that this will assist. So if no other questions or concerns, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Mitigation measures for summer school 2021. So that also was a discussion that came out of the Finance Committee. A motion was made and sent to the full board talking about what we want to do with masks for summer school. Points being brought up with that summer school was optional. It is not required. There would be fewer students in the building, that it might be a good opportunity to try masks being optional and not required. I don't know if anyone has any specific comments or questions about that. I will make the motion that for summer school this summer, masks be made optional. I think it's very important that our community sees that we are moving in a direction of removing the mask mandate. So
I
that
would
is my
second.
motion,
I'll second, or did you second?
that masks be optional. Did someone over there second already?
I'll second.
And
Art
Art,
did.
so a
Art can
motion
second.
for Erica, a second for Art. Any questions or concerns or comments?
I have a discussion point at that. Because it is not on tonight's agenda for the masks for the last 33 days of the school year, I too agree with those in the audience that it is a parent's right, it is a student's right to choose whether or not he or she wants to wear a mask. And I do believe that it should be masks encouraged but not required. For those that want to wear a mask, they can. For those that do not want to, they should not have to. And the fact that it's not on the agenda, I do believe that, it should have been an action item for tonight's board meeting, but it was not. But I want you to know that I applaud you and I commend you for doing what you did, for standing up here, because as a parent, as an individual, it is your right to choose whether or not you want to wear a mask. And Tony Evers' mask mandate, all 3 of them struck down by the Supreme Court, you have a right to choose, and I applaud you for that.
Any other questions or comments regarding the summer school mask mitigation?
Plexiglass, did we talk about that? Is that,
We're gonna remove it, right?
That will be in the superintendent's.
It's in
Is
Sean's
that
report.
I can comment on that. The latest update from the CDC no longer recommends plexiglass plastic, so we are prepared to remove that.
So can I amend your motion that we remove the plexiglass with this Motion.
So that will come up later in discussion. It's not an action item. I believe it's just an update from the administrators that is something that will be done.
We're just going to do
Just
it.
doing
It-
Yeah.
It's no longer recommended.
They're doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's no longer recommended, it's simply going to be removed.
Too bad we couldn't get that money back.
So the motion on the table is to make masks optional for summer school. We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Elementary enrollment boundary change.
Okay, so we reviewed a part of our map on the western boundary. As far as elementary attendance boundaries are concerned, there's a road that was extended in the Eagles Air subdivision that kind of creates a situation where we have two elementary boundaries in one neighborhood. And for transportation purposes, we like to keep that consistent where we send just one bus in to pick up that neighborhood full of kids and take them to one school. So in reviewing this with the Finance Committee, we're ultimately recommending that all the area north of NN and west of Jericho Creek be assigned a section elementary school. As it currently stands, part of that area, part of that neighborhood goes to section, and then the other part goes to Prairie View, and that creates a standalone island that a bus from Prairie View would have to go pick up just half a row of kids when we already have a bus from section that's going there.
I'll
So
make
thi-
that motion.
I have a motion by Mary,
Second.
a second by Joel. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Air quality study phase 2.
All right, so at the Finance Committee, we discussed the results of the air quality study that was performed so far. We found that we have some work in some areas that we could improve, namely cleaning of air ducts, upgrading our HVAC systems with MERV 13, 14, and 15 filters, as well as installing bipolar ionization and looking into that in our air handling unit. So the Finance Committee is recommending that we move into a second phase here, which would call for us to work with Ring du Chateau, which is the company that we worked with here in the first phase of this, to write bid documents that have those specific those things that I just mentioned there: air duct cleaning, installing filters, and creating the specifications for bipolar installation to have that work done.
I'll make that motion.
Mary makes the first motion, second Cherry. Any other questions or discussion?
I'd just like to make a comment, Erica.
Yeah.
If you were not, any of the board members were not at this meeting to hear this report, this very intense report from Andy and team that we hired, it was very valuable information. It was very eye-opening. For all the things that we spend money on, I went into this going, oh, you know, what would we spend this $20,000 on? And when you sit and pay attention, and even if you're not an engineering geek or whatever kind of geek you have to be to understand this stuff, it was very fascinating. And I think if you are a parent or someone listening to this board meeting, I would take the time to ask Andy. I'm sure there's some version of the 200-page report that you could share with them, the public part, because
I believe it was 292
yeah,
pages.
290 pages, but there was a capsulized summary at the meeting, and it was very knowledgeable, and I truly felt confident that it was money well spent, and it was very eye-opening, and I think everybody should take comfort in understanding that we're paying attention to what's going on in the air quality of our schools and making it all better.
I agree. I will just even expand on that. It has given me a lot of confidence and peace moving into this next school year. COVID, not COVID, we're able to provide an extra layer of assistance so that we can hopefully move forward without masks in the future. We do have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions about the air quality? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, number 14, 2021-22 student fees.
All right, I reviewed our student fees as we head into next school year, and I'm proposing that we leave them unchanged, no increase, leave them as is. I compared them to other Waukesha County school districts. In most instances, we're at or below the county average. I see no reason to increase those. Let's leave those alone. The Finance Committee is making that recommendation to the full board.
Motion.
I have a motion made by Andy,
Second.
second by Craig. Any other questions or concerns? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carries. We have social studies materials adoption. No.
Can you hear me? Okay, there we go. For the last year and a half, I've been updating the Student Learning Committee about the social studies curriculum revision that we are currently in 712 in the district. And the teachers have engaged in professional development in the last year and a half, looking at the new standards, and then choosing materials and running a pilot this year. Each course-alike team had 2 pilot materials that they piloted, filled out extensive paperwork to review those documents, lots of discussions around them, and we are ready to make a recommendation for new social studies materials to be brought in. Currently, that adoption for 712 social studies materials would be $452,611. We are still working with companies on trying to reduce shipping costs, and companies that we've gone with multiple texts for, trying to get them to reduce costs, but that's where it stands right now. So I believe the Student Learning Committee put it forth as a recommendation for the whole board to approve, so we can move ahead with these funds and start the ordering process.
And this is within the budget, Tom? Within her budget?
Yep, you bet.
Yep.
Gotta ask.
It's always there. Come on.
All right, do I have a motion? Cherry makes a motion. Do I have a second? I will second. Any other questions or discussion for Stephanie? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carries.
I want to very quickly add, thank you for that, but also just a thank you to our 712 teachers. A pilot year is hard for any teachers to not only teach your curriculum, but then pilot materials and learn those materials. It's been a definite effort this year, so I want to give a public shout out and recognition to those teachers that spent a lot of time still doing their due diligence to choose materials that will be successful for kids moving forward. So,
Stephanie,
thanks.
thank you for all your help as well.
Thank you. And then we will move into unfinished business with superintendent's report and COVID update.
So if you want to take a look at my memo entitled COVID Updates, I lay out the reasoning why we are continuing with the masks for the remainder of this school year, but then moving toward a mask optional procedure, or policy protocol, I should say, for summer school. As you are aware, the Supreme Court, Andy mentioned, the state Supreme Court struck down Governor Evers' executive order, and although that mandate was struck down, it was overturned per our legal counsel, Buell Vetter, and I have shared another legal opinion, Stang Patterson, with you, that court ruling doesn't impact a school district's ability to require masks in schools. We are going to continue with face masks required in our schools and facilities for the remainder of 2021 school year. That's based upon the CDC, the Wisconsin DHS, and the Waukesha County Health Department's recommendations that students, staff, and visitors wear masks in school. I have attached, and I've shared that with you throughout this month, the Waukesha County Health Department recommendation. I think it's also important to note that our liability insurance carrier and our legal counsel recommend that we abide by the Public Health Department guidelines or risk greater liability when we are sued. If we are sued, it does not mean that we won't be sued. I think that's important to note. No matter how we proceed, we may get sued, but if we do get sued, you want to have that liability insurance. I do want to note, and I know that some of you have expressed concern about the mask issue being politicized, and so hopefully the latest press release from Children's Hospital will help to alleviate those concerns. So UW Health, the Department of Pediatrics at the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine, Children's Wisconsin, which is Children's Hospital, the Wisconsin chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics, and the Wisconsin Medical Society are recommending that students still wear masks in school. And so I've attached that press release for you to read. I want to remind you that last summer, when we were determining whether or not we would bring all of our students back in our schools, with the exception of those that wanted to go virtual, or go to a hybrid model, because we simply could not do the social distancing in our schools. There is no way, as you know, in many of our classrooms that we can be 6 feet apart. And in many of our classrooms, especially at Parkview Middle School, it's hard to be 3 feet apart. But we took a look at the American Academy of Pediatrics and a recommendation that said get kids in schools. It's better for kids learning, it's better for their social and emotional growth, and it's better for their mental health to be in schools. And so we did that. We did that despite the fact that we couldn't socially distance as much as we might have wanted to. And now that same group, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Wisconsin chapter, is still recommending masks. So if you want to cut out all the politics, I completely understand. I get it. It's an emotional issue, and it has been politicized. There's no doubt about it. So I would hope that you would listen to those local organizations. And truly, I believe that they have the best interests of children's health in mind.
Sean, going face-to-face is a win. All year long, it's a win.
I agree.
But I think the public has to be heard. And I think we should have more, some more discussions about it. Agreed? Okay.
So then my last statement as far as why we continue, I firmly believe all mitigation measures, including masks, hand washing, quarantines, plexiglass, have enabled us to open our schools on September 1st and allowed us to successfully stay open. Masks, as I said, are even more important in schools as we are unable to socially distance in many of our classrooms. Now, I believe, is not the time to eliminate mask mandates in our schools, as spring is some of the most important time of the school year. AP exams, final exams, prom, 8th grade dance, 6th grade field trips. We don't want our students missing those events. Graduation. After tonight, we have 32 days left in school. So I just firmly believe that we should keep masks for the rest of this school year. That said, I completely get everyone is COVID fatigued. Everyone is tired of wearing masks. I cannot stress enough that we hope, we pray, we desperately want to get back to normal as soon as we can. We hope and pray, and we desperately want a normal, lack of a better term, normal start to a school year September 1st. I cannot stress that enough. So firmly believe that we should hang on for the rest of this school year. You've made masks optional for summer school, and hopefully we'll be back to normal September 1st.
Why is September 1st any different than right now? What's different?
So I am hoping that by then we'll have more people vaccinated. So someone had brought up the student vaccinations in one, for example, in the email to the board. So right now at Mukwonago High School, for example, we have students eligible to be vaccinated 16, 17, and 18. Obviously, 15-year-olds cannot get vaccinated. None of the vaccines are approved for that young of an age. Hopefully, by the time school starts, it's possible that as young as 12 could be approved for vaccines. And I just want one more comment about those vaccines for 16 and 17-year-olds. The first time that they could get that would have been April 5th. It would have been the Pfizer vaccine. If April 5 was their first dose, their second dose, the earliest they could have gotten it would be today, the 26th, so April 5th to the 26th, 21 days. Then you need 2 more weeks of time before you get the full immunity, the way I understand it. And that would only be if our 16 and 17-year-olds were getting that vaccine on the very first day on April 5th. So obviously many didn't.
Once they are vaccinated, they're not subject to quarantine anymore,
That's correct. So I believe, back to your question, Vito, I believe we'll be in a better place by September 1st. And I think that the mask optional experience for summer school can drive that decision-making.
Okay.
And just to clarify, we did not vote tonight on masks moving forward for the rest of the year because that motion never made it out of committee. It's not that it hasn't been discussed at length all month, every week, every Monday. We've had committees that we've discussed this at length. So just because it doesn't appear to be happening right here doesn't mean that it hasn't happened. That motion did not make it to this table tonight. It didn't. So what we were willing and able to bring was masks optional for summer school and for shortening our quarantine to 3 feet space. That's what the committees voted to move forward. So that process, in case you weren't familiar with the process, action items come to this full board meeting based on the work that comes out of the committees as well as directly from the administration. So that is currently where we sit. If it's something we want to continue to discuss within this next month, we can continue to discuss it. But at that point, our next full board meeting's at the end of May. Sorry, yes, the plexiglass also, thank you. That CDC no longer recommends, so we will be able to remove plexiglass. I believe that's actually begun in places. Am I correct?
Yep, I think we've already started that process, yep.
Everywhere across the school district, Sean? The plexiglass?
That we already have done it?
Or that it will be coming down?
Yeah, yep.
Yes, everywhere. Are we keeping track of students that are being vaccinated? So, for the record, this isn't exactly
against
normal
the
protocol
laws.
to get questions from the audience, but I think it's probably important for right now. I don't know the answer to that. I think that's something we can address in the near future, because I'm not sure if that is a HIPAA. It would be a HIPAA. So, we will continue. We'll continue on with. Sean, did you have anything else for superintendent's report?
No, I have a couple of things, but I can wait until the...
No, go ahead. It's
Okay.
for legislation.
So, on a sad note, I want to make sure that you all are aware that Dave Bartholomew has passed away this past weekend. Dave is an MASD grad, 1983, resident farmer. We just recognized Dave a couple of months ago, if you recall, for his strong support of Big Bend Elementary and the Farmers Grow Schools grants. He had been very instrumental in helping us get hundreds and hundreds of dollars over the years for grants for Big Bend Elementary. So our condolences to his family. And then I have a couple of things I wanted to share with you. First, our 18 to 21-year-old program has started a new program. They are selling kindness cards, and I figured tonight was a good night to share those. The order form is in your folder, and I'll pass those down so you can take a look at them. Also, hope you saw, if you didn't see the email from the MHS Choir, Night on Broadway is coming up on this Saturday. Our show choir, concert choir, varsity treble choir perform at 4 and 7:30 this Saturday right here in the Greenwald Family Foundation PAC. Also, if you're looking for something to do on Saturday, we still need volunteers for the M Club Relays, track meet, big track meet. I think it's starting around 9 o'clock. If you're interested, let us know. And I think that's all I have.
Bless you.
Okay, so in your folder, you should have gotten a blue school board committee preference sheet. If you please would fill that out and give it to me by the end of the meeting, as well as the school board member info sheet, if you could update that for us as well. Are there any board member questions?
Which committee is the one that deals with the masks?
I'm sorry?
Which committee is the one that
All of
decides on
them.
the masks?
It's at all of them right now.
Okay.
It is an all-hands-on-deck discussion.
We can't.
That's a good question.
There-
Being new, I'm kind of interested. How
Okay,
how
so
they come up.
we will allow right now for board members to ask questions. Committees are where a lot of the legwork takes place, and it is a far more conducive environment for engagement and discussion. They are every Monday in the month, first, second, and third Monday of the month. Feel free to come to any of those. Citizens' comments are welcome, as well as at the end, we can have open discussion. This is not, unfortunately, the forum for that. If any board members would like to ask a question any further on this discussion, I would welcome that. Okay, then I need a motion to move into executive session.
I would like to make that motion.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Art, and then Joel, Cherry, if you could roll call us out, please.
Erica Connor?
Yes.
Mary Demore?
Yes.
Joel Frederick?
Here.
Andy Mankey?
Yep.
Art Snyder?
Yes.
Peter Schwartz?
Here.
Craig Bird?
Right here.
Jill Warner?
Yes.
Sherry Winchowski, yes.
No, it's a yes or no.
2 minutes, or are we heading off?
So we are going to go into the classroom next